Let's see, Routnick. What happened last time?
Quite a bit of things, really. After we were rolled up and brought into existence, we saw a bunch of wretched little green-skinned goblins terrorizing a wanderer and his daughter on their fine cart. We went forth and defeated the beast. They one got away. As thanks, we were offered travel and board and food as they went on to a city. One which we were told was a bit odd, and for which apparently men are not allowed to have an opinion or whatever that means. We'll probably find out soon enough. In the meanwhile, I disgusted the people by filling my boots with water, as one of my comrades scared the shit out of a merchant by investigating his vault and telling him to make sure it was tighter. We then continued a ways into the darksome woods, where one of us was investigated by strange green elves, undoubtedly Eloth Games, and we joined a battle between goblins and kobolds, for which we assisted the kobolds and received a 10 gold piece value shield. Anything I'm missing?
Nope. And then, well, you made it past the woods you camped, and then at first light, you made it beyond the trail where you're surrounded by woods, and it opens up into the Valley of Gulluvia in front of you. That was awesome, though, so take a luck token for that. You can only hold one luck token at a time, so if I forget and I say take a luck token, as long as you have one, you can't have another one. There's even a place on your sheet if you want to track that.
It has been marked.
Awesome. Okay. And that's where you are right now. So, it is the month of the Salamander, 16th of Abermont, of Gromdane, and the winds of wisdom prevail, and there's a heavy mist about you currently. Actually, let me crank up the mist. It's not misty enough. Yeah. It's real misty outside today. Foggy in the morning. After you travel a ways, just beyond where this break in the tree line is, you see, or you hear something. Tree line behind you, you hear like chittering voices somewhere off in the tree line.
More wretched Garley, then.
I wonder if they're brave enough to follow us out into the open river valley ahead.
Brave or stupid?
Is it coming from the northeast?
Yeah, so you just left, maybe actually more accurate would be kind of right here. And you had trees to either side for miles all day yesterday as you traveled down this road. And you just broke the tree line ahead, and you see a valley covered in mist ahead of you.
Shall we have our weapons out, fellows, so that if they attack we may guard the cart, or shall we face them head-on?
Certainly my weapon's always by my side if we need it. Druga taps his long sword.
Trevor shakes his staff mildly, threateningly.
Heft my spear.
Alright, we'll continue on for now, and we'll be ready if anything jumps out and goes ooga booga.
Yeah, Lambdaman, he's the tinkerer. He looks at you all and asks when, because he can hear these noises too, and he's like, and so is that what you tell him, like, just continue on? Okay. Let's see here.
Yuri is raiding. Oh, what do you say there?
Yuri is rich in torch.
Rich and Torch?
It's so many torches.
Awesome.
It's good to have torches. I believe we can turn them into firewood if we need be.
Now that you have let's see, 2, 4, 12, 24. Now that you've crossed beyond the wilderness to either side, despite the mist, he's able to pick up some speed. So let's see here.
Let's see, how do I hang on this map? Is this a bit here? Is this the river itself?
Yeah, so I'll describe this. I just moved you all because he knows where he's going. So you've been traveling along a road, and some of you are walking beside this wagon. Some of you are riding either shotgun next to him or inside of it with his daughter. And I just moved you 1 hex. So you're moving along the road, and you can see from like beyond this. Actually, I should change this because of the mist. You can only see. It's interesting. Okay, yeah. You probably are only able to see like a couple of miles right now, in fact. Just see mist around you. However, I'll give you that you can see, maybe because of the thickness of the mist, that you're entering this riverbed, and you've been going downhill. Like you've been going down towards this valley. You can tell that. But otherwise, to the left and right of the road now, all you see is soggy, rocky grassland. And anyways, another thing happens. Well, no, it doesn't. I assume you keep going.
Aye.
All right. So the first thing you come to is a bridge that you can see off in the distance, about 6 miles away, or a couple miles away. And so yeah, it looks like you're about to cross a bridge. This is the Isole River, and then lastly we get to the bridge, and let's see, where's my ink pen? You hear, on this side of the bridge, you hear, roaring bestial sounds, a chorus of them.
How far are they?
They are somewhere off in the mists, so far, so you can't see them.
Coming our way?
You can't tell. They don't seem to be getting closer yet, but you can hear echoing in the mists like this, just chorus of roars, just like bestial people, like or maddened, crazed berserkers, just all roaring all at once, and then one booming voice over top of them, just like oh, rah, rah. Oh, does anyone speak any interesting languages? Any like normal creature languages?
I was gonna say the closest thing that Yuri might speak that would be of interest would be primordial. But...
Nope, not primordial. Steve?
Sylvan and Reptilian and Draconic.
Anybody else?
Common and Dwarven.
All right. Yeah, you're not sure what they're saying, but they're roaring something in some bestial tongue.
Yuri looks over to the tinker, raises his eyebrow, and says, "I assume these are not friends of yours."
Right, yeah, Lambdaman, he looks nervous and he says, "My friends, I'm really glad that you showed up, and I think we should leave as soon as possible."
Is there any other way across the river?
Not for this wagon, there's not. We have to cross the bridge. But these things are on the near side of the bridge. They're over here.
I see.
So we should get to the other side to defend ourselves as quick as possible.
Oh, they're behind us.
To your right rear, or southeast.
In that case, I would say we'll get the cart over the bridge, and then we'll all stand line, so whatever tries to come through will have to get through us first.
Okay.
So we hear it, but it's we hear essentially. I mean, it sounds like beastmen of some type, in the trees to our southeast. Is that what you said?
This is sort of an open grassland, and so while there are copses of trees, you think that they're somewhere in the open, but you can't see them because of the heavy mist. They're somewhere to your, at this point, right rear, because you've been traveling along the road and you see a bridge ahead, and they're somewhere off in that grassland in the mist to your right rear, or what would be southeast on the player map.
Gotcha. Well, as far as like in battle, Yuri only has 2 hit points, so he's gonna stay on the bench of the cart and guard the tinker pretty much.
All right. You cross the bridge quickly, and you turn and form your defensive line and prepare your weapons. And you hear the sounds of this booming voice, and then like a chorus of maybe a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, you're not sure, somewhere off in the mist, like screaming and everything. And then they grows quieter as they are clearly going away. How long do you wait?
We wait a couple of minutes first.
Okay. Within a couple of minutes, you just hear them going further away. Just you can kind of hear their voices like fading in the mist.
All right. Since they're fading away, then we're going to continue our trail.
All right. Actually, let me make a note of that. Okay. Let's see here. It takes you to the end of your day, and you arrive. You see along the road starts to improve, and you see various different kind of bits of farmland and watchtowers, until finally you see the parapets of stone structures, imposing walls, and that's not it. Not that either.
I was thinking the Ravens looks a little bit ominous.
And it's
I hope there's noise coming from that city.
Aye, foul music that.
fog. It's foggy. Well, actually, misty. Mist being, it's kind of wet, and it's all around you. Above, below, around, everywhere. But eventually, these imposing stone walls reveal themselves. And there is the nighttime of the city here. Let's say that it's actually mostly quiet. Lambdaman.
So Gulluvia is a city, right?
Yeah, Lambdaman tells you as the stone structures come into view, he says, he's holding the reins of his oxen, and he looks only slightly less worried as when he heard the bestial sounds in the mist. And he says, I'll drive us directly to Tudor Market. It's the central market square. I would caution you not to go about town very much tonight, or cause any trouble with the guards. It would do you well in Gulluvia just to remain unnoticed if you can. But so long as you stay in the Tudor Market and don't cause trouble, it should be okay. They do entreat with merchants from the outside.
Remember, lads, not supposed to be having opinions here. If I think she's stupid, what do you think?
I think it's a loaf of shit.
Well, I value and respect your opinion.
Thank you.
All right. Lambdaman, he continues on beyond the city gates into the dark and quiet city. Whoa. And you find that the streets tonight there's some tallow lit, some candles, some among the various buildings. Actually, you would see that most of those that are lit are those near the walls, just beyond the portcullis as you pass beneath its double gates, its double its defensive wall in the front of the city. To the left and right, you can see lights, but as you move on, you can see further off into the city where it kind of you can see the buildings there. The buildings further on into the city are all dark. And you continue on for takes about a 5-10 minute ride until finally you hear some commotion. And he pulls the wagon up to a what is like a little outbuilding, a half stable that is clearly a traveling inn. And he reins up the horses and everything, and he says, I have an arrangement with the innkeep here. I find it best for me that I just stay in my wagon with my daughter. But if you'd like some food and a place to sleep, you won't want to get caught sleeping on the streets here. This is it's called the Nasty Dragon Inn. It's called that, sort of making fun of a local legend of sorts. This is one of the places where outsiders and merchants can come and go in peace and something like normal.
The Nasty Dragon, is that what everyone's so afraid of? Why people can't have opinions here?
Oh, I didn't say you couldn't have an opinion. And he wrings his hands. He's like, I have to get some things ready for tonight, but the inn is here for you to rest in if you want. And he goes back into his...
Has Tinker paid us yet?
Oh yeah, that's right. He was going to pay you, 10 gold each?
10 gold each.
Oh, nice.
He takes out, he opens... He's very trusting, and he doesn't mean to be, despite Yuri's warnings. Yes. And so you can hear him in his little hut take out a chest and open it, and you can tell where the chest is. And you hear him open it, takes bags of things and he separates it into some small cloth bags, and he hands you all clinking things of 10 gold each. Each of you get 10 gold. And he says, this is also where our journey ends, my friends, but if you're looking for the fabled palace, you'll want to continue north along this road, at least until you get to where the river forks, past the forest. Once the forest leaves you to the east, then the road will no longer serve you, and you either must take the trail to Thorald, or you must make your way across the river to the north. That is the way into the mountains of the Moorfowl.
Is this city of Gulluvia the closest settlement to the Silver Palace, or is there a closer place that we can use as our base of operations?
The closest city would be Thorald, as far as I know. Of course, no one knows if this palace that you look for is... forgive me, but some say it's just a fantasy anyways, but if it exists, they say it's in the Moorfowl Mountains. So that would be Thorald. North of Thorald, after you travel into the Moorfowl Mountains, they say that it's somewhere there.
My idea is that we'll eat for tonight, sleep in the stables, and when we can, in the morning, depart for Thorald.
Sleep in the stables. I'm not taking my chance out in the open. If this inn is really a decent place to stay, like our friend the Tinkerer says, I'd rather sleep in there than wake up to some tramp going through my pockets.
Well, suit yourself. All right, we're going to march into the inn.
Is the Tinkerer coming with us into the inn right now? I'm guessing he is.
He said that he has an arrangement with the innkeep where he can stay in his hut, and he keeps his hut and carriage and oxen here in the half stable.
So that's why, Tanner, is that why you were suggesting we kind of sleep in the stable, be around him?
That too, yeah.
Maybe that'll work out. When we get the chance, I'm gonna ask the Tinker if he has any friends or associates in town. You know, we know the Tinker. The Tinker can kind of vouch for us. You know, if we want to take a look around for any jobs we can do quick jobs we can do on the way across.
Okay, yeah. The first thing he says to Routneck's suggestion is he wrings his hands again nervously, and he says, I mean no offense, but our business is done. I appreciate it, but I have no more need for guards to stay in my wagon tonight. But thank you.
Rutnick will nod and say, understood. I hope that our paths cross again someday.
Yes, thank you, friend. It is good to find people like you on the road that would help a poor widower like myself. As far as who I know in town, I'll tell you that I know Elian. She owns the tavern here. Don't let her servants alarm you. That is just a normal custom here, even here in the trade quarter of the Tudor market.
Who's got the most gilded tongue among us? I'm only sitting over here with a 9 charisma.
14.
Also a 9.
Right, I have, Fred Druga is no more apt than either of y'all two.
So I'd say schmoozing should go to you. As far as seeing if we can drum up some rumors or anyone else needing bodyguard work, stuff like that.
It's really a sad state when the dwarf is the talker.
Let's see. Druga, also you asked who he knew, and he says, if you want to do business here in Gulluvia, then you'll need to go to the solicitor here in the Tudor Market at sunrise, and it's 50 gold to have a merchant's license. If you have a merchant's license, you won't be subject to the laws for the most part. The solicitor can explain it. I have a license here in Gulluvia. I found it profitable. But if you want to go to the other districts, you'll need that license or else you'll be subject to their laws.
Do we need a merchant's license to be guards?
Oh yes, and to do anything and enter into the other districts outside of the central market, you'll need a license.
Even if we just guard a merchant who's leaving?
Oh yes.
I'm guessing that merchant's license might even give us a bit of an issue if we're trying to hire people around here. They'll be looking for us to have a license. Is that the case too?
Anytime an outsider enters any of the outer districts, they need a license or else they need to abide by the laws of the Baroness.
Yes, but what's the Baroness's penalties? Are we talking a fee here, or are we losing hands?
Something a bit in between. Well,
One hand, or perhaps some fingers.
Yes. If you're, actually, this will take a reaction roll. Roll 2d6 and add your charisma modifier to this question.
To old Yuri.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
All right, I got my laptop on my belly. Hang on here, I gotta type.
He can use a pair of real-life D6s right now, right? Ooh.
Nice. Yeah. What's your charisma modifier?
That's that -1 I put in there.
Nice. Okay.
Well, an 8.
All right. So he wrings his hands and he says, "I appreciate your advice, priest, and your protections, and you saved my life. So I will tell you this: if you're curious about the punishments that outsiders experience if they break the local laws, or the punishments that are experienced by the locals if you were to travel into one of the outer districts and be subject to them, all you have to do is look at one of the guard captains at daylight, or if you see one in the bar, and as soon as you see them, you'll see what punishment awaits anyone who breaks the laws here at best."
Other than being promoted to guard captain, it sounds.
He laughs nervously, and he says, "If you'll excuse me, I'm very tired, but safe journeys, and may the gods bless you." And he goes into his tent.
Goodbye, Tinker.
Oh wait, actually, I'm sorry. He was going to offer one other thing. He said you asked who he knew, and I'll give you 2 more, because so you can use his name, because you mentioned that. Let's see here. He says, "Oh, and I have actually been to every city in Gulluvia. Eventually, I'll make my way to some of the towns that it sounds like you are intending to travel to. I wouldn't suggest it, but if you want to make the long way around into the Moorfowl Mountains, you'd go to the Hobbit Shire, or the Halfling Shire of Mere. But no one ever goes that way into the mountains anymore. There's a strange mist that lay just beyond the mountains where anyone would travel through it. And there's strange stories about what comes out of the mists now. And it's not the most direct path anyways, but if for any reason you find you need to go to the town of Mere, that is one way into the Moorfowl Mountains. And let's see here. Here we go. You could tell they're a little bit distrustful of outsiders, but if you know the halflings, they're incredibly kind and wonderful people, and the food there is very good. I would tell you, talk to Percy at the singing. Yes, at the Singing Candle. And if you tell him that that I would send you with my regards, he may believe you, and I will later if I make it ahead of you. I will commend you.
The Singing Candle. I'm guessing that sounds to be a place of rest. You know, a tavern, a food locale.
It is. He has delicious and well, he gets his food from the swamps north of the hill ranges to the north. So they come from those mists, but I have to admit, it is very delicious. I eat it, and they're very good. And he has some special wines he keeps that you might enjoy. Anyways, the food is fantastic at the Singing Candle, and you'll be safe there. I don't want to say why, but it's a very safe tavern. If you can only get past Percy's exterior, he is a very good man. And I think you'll find that of the halflings, that if you can gain their friendship, you'll have a very good friendship.
I like the idea of halfling wine. Would you be able to give us some instructions on how to get there through the mist or around the mist?
Well, the mist lay just to the north of the Shire of Muir. It's the way that you would need to go through to get to the Moorfowl Mountains. As I said, I don't recommend it unless you don't have any other options. The closest place to get to the Moorfowl Mountains directly would be Thorold. And he knows everybody. Let me see here. The people in Thorold, they are not... I will admit this to you, I feel like you are my friends now. They're not as apt to admit that they're my friends, though I do a great deal of work for all of the noble families. The nobles of Thorold are family relations of Lady Demis, of the Baroness. So, they trade in horses, mainly, and other things. There are manors there in Thorold. It's a less gloomy place than this one. So, I can't actually commend you by name to these people because they don't claim me. It's sad. I've known them ever since I started doing my trading here long ago. But I will tell you one person that I know. If you have some need of her help, I will commend your name to her. She's, let's see. I need... Just the... She goes by the name Kiara. But most people there in Thorold know her just as the Old Woman. She's the sole resident of a small district outside of the training pens for the horses on the west side of town. They call it the Dredge. A group of old buildings covered in ivy and moss. No one has ever taken to repair them, at least in recent years. And I know that she lives there. The locals think that she's crazy, but I know that Kara is just an interesting person. And I'm not sure if she can be of help to you, but if something strange happens or you encounter something strange, she might be able to help.
Understood.
Very
Urga
well.
thanks the Tinker for all the information he has given to us and says, it's quite obvious, Tinker, you've been all over this area and made quite a few friends over the years. I hope that we can also remain friends. Druga wishes him good luck on his journeys and does a blessing from Madeira for him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he loves that. And it even gives him kind of some peace of mind as he snores happily inside of his little hut. Okay, you're all outside of this inn and tavern. Like I said, there's like the outbuilding, the covering that is like a half stable, and otherwise there's this 2-floor. Let's see, 2-floor tavern. There are still some noises in the common area on the first floor, and an old wooden sign, merrily just lazing back and forth in the mists on the streets, showing a dragon, but like in this pose.
Easy.
What, a dragon in that pose?
Yeah, like
I
it's like
understand
etched.
now.
Yeah.
I understand now. It's a naughty dragon.
I thought we agreed no smart ass humor tonight.
I'm sorry.
I just understand it now. I didn't get it right away. It's okay.
I was not
Wait.
actually implying anything sexual, but
Oh,
it's
I
hard
think it means
to.
that I think it means that the wings were spread. I think I know what you mean.
No. Like it's literally just like chilling, is what I'm trying to say.
Ah, like Wormy.
Like it's just got its hands behind its head and it's just like kicked back, chilling.
I see.
And you also smell very nice food.
Let's head in there.
Okay.
Aye, let us see what gold and silver will net us for food.
Respite from the trail.
Aye. Ooh, she's pretty.
Yeah, there's good news and bad news about this place when you come in here. The first thing that I'll start with the good news. It smells amazing. You can see that several pigs were slain today, and it's on the menu. And they've been brought out at the table, and they've been soaked and slowly cooked, probably a day prior in fresh rosemary. Fills the air in all of the tallow light for the travelers and merchants like yourself that have come in late. There's also a very strong alcohol smell, which I would not like say is like I would say like is a spirit. It's like vodka or something that you smell. And the other good news is that you do see outsiders. Like you see people clearly not from here that are merchants that come in and trade from the princes of Galantry, which is where you came from. And it seems like this is like a wayfaring inn. So you're among people that have come from the outside as well. The bad news is these are the peculiar things. Behind the bar is a woman. The men serving the tables, and they're all men and only men, have plain drab colored clothes, all of them. So their tunics are not dyed. But they look fine. Like, you know, they don't look like they're like vagrants or something. But they do not wear dyed tunics. And all of them have a leather collar. Every man that serves here tonight.
I think she's been getting free labor.
That would not surprise me.
And I think it may be extra that I don't make no more jokes about having opinions. Because I'm right proper uncomfortable.
Likewise, maybe some of that lovely rosemary pork will allow us to quell this unease.
I think you might be right.
And the dwarf will see if he can find us an open table and sit ourselves down.
You do that. And a man comes by and he says, good evening, masters. Can I get anything for you? Would you like some of our rosemary ham and some a bright bottle of Galluvian fire?
I would very much like some ham blink twice if you need to escape, and some beer.
Aye, we would happily enjoy a little underground railroad, and exactly what you ordered.
Alright, let me see if...
Remember, I got +2 to charisma.
He just looks at you like askance, like, what? And he's like, okay, I'll be right back. And then he leaves. And after a while, he comes back and puts down ham, and that is 4 silver pieces for each person for the ham, if you're eating. If you eat and get a room, I will say that you get the room and the ham for tonight, and what is left over in the morning. So it counts as lodging and 2 days of food.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
So,
How much will that put us back? Is that like gold piece a person? Or...
So adding it together, if you get the spirits, the ham, and the room, yeah, it'd be a gold piece.
Oh, sure, I'll put down a gold piece.
In the morning, it will probably just be like stale bread and pottage, but you know that's for you to grab and eat and get out.
All right, I'll burn a gold. And then when he brings us his food, before he leaves, I'll note. Hold on a sec. Yuri,
Yes.
Daniel, Druga, Reltnik, and Trevor. You don't have to call us master.
Oh, yes, of course. It's very nice to meet you. I hope you enjoy your stay in Gulluvia.
You have to call me master, though. I'm a wizard.
What part of just calls by our first names is not understood?
My first name is Wizard now. Alright, you caught me. It's not Wizard, it's Trevor.
Let me see who's, we definitely need to see who's in here.
While he's looking, I'd like to inform you all my name is now Frodrick. Like Frodrick Frankenstein.
Is it
I like
really?
it, Frederick.
No, of course
Okay,
not. I was
alright.
doing a fun about false names.
It's that thing from How I Met Your Mother, Admiral Captain McAwesome Pants or whatever.
Oh no, it's young Frankenstein because his no, it's Frankenstein. You're putting me on.
Let's see here.
Walk this way. No, this way.
Yeah, that's the one.
All right.
Werewolf. Werewolf.
Castle.
Think I might be thinking of a. All right. You see. Actually, let me do this. Nope. Okay. There are 5 other people in here late at night, it's clear that they were travelers of some sort. There's no other business to have arrived in the way that you have at this hour. And let's see here. Give you... one of which is a dwarf with a floppy hat, and he is acting really weird, like he's like twitchy, and the other one is a fascinating. I'll write this down. There's a halfling here.
Ah.
And he is unusually tall for a halfling, but it's clear to you. So at first you think maybe he's a skinny dwarf. But then you look and you're like, no, he dressed like a halfling and everything else. He's just not very dwarvish in his mannerisms. And he's smoking on a pipe and writing in a book. And lastly, there is an elf here. Who is speaking to one of the servants, whispering quietly to him. And then, of course, you have the bartender as well, and then the servants.
The elf speaking with the servant. Does it seem like they know each other?
No.
Before we begin our questioning, would you be insulted if I went to the washroom real quick?
I mean, go ahead. Yeah.
Alright,
We'll
be
just
back.
keep going. I mean, yeah, no big deal.
Well, by me.
Is
Once I
there
come back,
a
I'll...
lady in charge of all these poor fellas?
Yeah. The person behind the counter is a clearly in charge and a woman.
Yuri is going to head over to her. By the way, he keeps his robe and stuff all up all the time. Maybe it's like a hoard thing, I don't know. But he's not gonna get anything too flowery. He's just gonna ask her. He explains that he understands the conditions of his being here in the merchant's quarter. That he doesn't plan, nor do his companions plan on leaving. But is it possible to acquire a mule or some other type of draft animal here in the merchant's quarter? Or not really?
Oh. Well, hello. My name is Ilian, and she has a scar as you approach. What looked like just a heavy lidded eye is actually an empty socket. But she seems friendly enough, and she says, first of all, welcome to Gulluvia. I assume you introduce yourself and everything. She says, yeah, there's a market for travelers here. We actually sell some of our thoroughbred horses in the livestock market. That only happens usually once a week, though. The stock market. Let's see here.
And I would guess I'm not so lucky that this stock market is happening, let's say, in the morning.
It is. You've come. It seems that the winds of wisdom have served you. She looks. Do you wear your holy symbol openly?
Oh, of course, yeah. He would have introduced himself as, Seeker Yuri, a priest of Ord.
Oh, yes, Ord. Yeah. Well, clearly your god favors you, and his winds blow through. That heavy mist outside must be the doing of Ord and his secrets. They have
I
brought you
can't
in.
say I'm surprised, but it does lead me to my next question, which is there a temple district I may be permitted access to, or do you know of a temple to my god Ord here in the city? And indeed, I'm confused. Is the city called Gulluvia, or is this a city in a country called Gulluvia? I am not from this place.
Yes, our Baroness rules over the Barony of Gulluvia, which is our country, and it is no longer a part of the great empire as it was in long ages past. So, she rules over these lands, and this is the city of Gulluvia, which is the throne of her power. And to your second question, she says there is a general gods square that is in the Tudor markets. It serves travelers that come and go like yourself. You could, if you have to do any ministrations or would like to, you could probably do it there. The poor often gather there asking for alms. And different people asking for help from the gods and such. But if I can confidently say that Ord does have a temple here, but I'm afraid to say that you would need a merchant's license to go out into the Irwith stand, which is where a dedicated temple to Ord is. There's also a library in the Eifen Heights. On the road northwest of here, past the intersection, just before you head out of the gates toward Dead Mule, if you continue along the road, the last district to the right is actually an artisan's quarters, and they hold a library. They're very many of them are actually priests of Ord, seekers of ancient scripts and things nearby in the woods and mountains.
All these places I would not be able to visit, however, as they lie outside the merchant's quarter, correct?
You're not technically not allowed to visit, but if you do, you must abide by the Baroness's laws and not be a licensed merchant on merchant business.
And then Yuri pretty overtly looks around at the guys, particularly their neckwear. He looks back and says, Baroness does not seem to be one I would desire to cross, so I'm hoping my companions wish to only spend the night here and then continue on to Thorold, I believe the city is called.
Oh, Thorold. Are you there to breed or buy a horse?
Not exactly.
I see. Well, there are plenty of merchants and travelers that make their way through. Some head into the deserts far to the northwest, but usually they're only traveling through as well. Others do business in our towns and then return to the princes of Galantry. No one anymore travels into the mountains to the north and south of the valley.
So I hear. Well, thank you for your time. Then Yuri's gonna head back. Explains to the boys that he's gonna try to get a hold of a mule in the morning before they figure out a way to head out.
This is all very difficult for us to do things here, it sounds like, without that merchant's license. Because if we didn't have that merchant's license, Yuri, I think we would want to go and consult with those scholarly individuals she spoke of. I bet they would be a wonderful source of information on this palace, but it seems risky.
There is a way we could possibly get the information without a merchant's license, but it might require a little rooftop hopping, if you catch my drift.
You can count
Screw
me out,
Druga.
but I'm also quite skilled in keeping secret.
Now, I would like to point out that all we have to do is not break laws.
That's great.
That's true.
Now, no, especially for ourselves, that can be very difficult. But under the circumstances of the acquired gentlemen of this establishment, that shouldn't be too difficult, as I have good encouragement to be good.
Druga kind of, something that he mentions before is that we have dwarfs with us. You know, he looks at his legs and says some of us shouldn't be rooftop hopping, as much as he
Right.
likes that idea. But he also says he kind of sees what you got, what you're thinking of there. You're saying we could dress up like the locals, way to blend in.
I was thinking more that we would simply raid someone's library tonight.
So I would like to once again draw your attention. Sorry, I can't even say it with a straight face. Draw your attention to the gentleman in collars.
Yeah, well,
we're
yeah, that's
trying.
I see what you're saying there with that. You mean like, are you suggesting if we wore garb like their own, we could pass as one of them out in the open? No one would give us a second glance?
Yes. In fact, I
Well, how
think
would we
under
keep-
those circumstances, you would need a lookout. So I'll stay here and make sure it's safe.
But how are we going to get the collars?
I think the very beginning of your plan will lead you on the path of collars.
Ah, you want me to commit a crime? Well, I could easily set an unimportant building or two on fire first.
Yes, there seems to be a lot of ways forward.
All joking aside, though,
Druga is happy to go along with whatever plan y'all are interested in going ahead with.
all joking aside, I think what we should do is, if we have the gold for it, maybe hire on some henchmen here, outfit them, and then make our way to the town for the horses. What's it? I wrote it down here. Yeah,
Talking about
Thorold.
Thorold?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then maybe if we can find a way of getting to that halfling town, because that's going to be a better base of operations. And then from there, dealing with the castle session by session.
2 notes, because I don't want to bury the lead on this. First of all, when you look around the tavern, no one here looks suitable to be any kind of like traveling adventurer or torchbearer or anything.
All right.
And also to clarify, she said that the mirror, or he said that the mirror is farther away from where the palace is supposedly is.
All right, then it looks like Thorold will have to be our first stop then.
And it doesn't have to. I just wanted to clarify in case you were like, oh, I think the mirror is closer. And no, he did not say that. He said it's farther away.
All right. Well, what do you guys think?
So
Should we-
Yuri puts forth Yuri's 2 cents is that we should try to find a merchant who's looking for protection similar to our tinkerer friend. Use that to get some more coin together and hitch a ride to Thorold, hopefully, if not closer. and then go from there.
That
Sounds
sounds
good to
good.
me.
That's
Yep.
Yuri's 2 cents.
You've got our agreement then.
There was a twitchy dwarf in here, right?
Yes, in
I was
a floppy hat.
I was just about to go over and say hi to him in Dwarvish.
You do that? You go over
And
and
Yuri will eavesdrop because he speaks Dwarvish as well.
do you eavesdrop with the conversation with Routnick, or like you're just gonna kind of hang by?
Yeah, like
Okay.
he'll hang nearby, but he'll be able to pick up on what they're talking about.
Okay. All right. So Routnick, you approach, you announce yourself in Dwarvish, and he's like, "Oh, what? Oh, well, I'm sorry. Do I know you?"
I'm one of the dwarves of the High Mountain. We all know one another, don't we?
No, I don't know you. No. Have you tried the ham?
I have. It was simply fantastic. The rosemary added such a lovely aftertaste.
Nah, I think I could have used more.
Could have also used a little time, but that was just me. Tell me, who be you?
I'm Ygritte.
Ygritte, eh?
Yes.
Tell me, Ygritte. What? Do you happen to have any friends who are merchants?
Whoa.
What does "oh" mean?
Sorry.
It's
I've
alright.
never heard.
Oh.
I am amused by it. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I've never heard you make that sound before.
Yeah,
and I
just
like it.
sounds and twitching, and you let it pass.
Hold on. He says, well, yes, I know a merchant. Of course I do.
excellent. Where might we be able to meet him tomorrow morning?
I have no idea where he'll be in the morning.
But you know a merchant.
Ah, yeah, he's right over there. Hey! 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 No, hey! Percy! Percy!
Oh, that's Percy.
He slams his tankard down. The servants look nervous when he slams his tankard down. Percy finally looks up from his writing in a book, annoyed, the halfling, and he's like, "Yes, Ygritte? Hey, they're looking for a merchant."
Raltnik has
And,
already begun hustling over,
Oh, you're Percy.
and I'm switching back to common now.
oh, yes, no, I don't have any wine right now. I didn't bring anything. I'm here to do other business. I don't think I can help you. Please excuse me and goodbye. And then he goes
No,
back
no,
to...
I just... We're not here to demand wine from you, we assure. We have a possible business opportunity we would like to offer you, Sarah. We had heard you were friends of, forgive me, what was the guy's name again? Harold?
Sir...
Yeah, we just-
Oh, wait, yeah, you mentioned, yeah, what is his name? I have his
You
name.
know
but-
Lamdaman, right?
Oh, you come over and you say that?
Puts down a plate of ham, 2 plates of ham.
So you put down the plate and you like sit down unannounced. He's just exasperated. He's like, oh, God. And then you mention Landaman. He's like, oh, you know Landaman?
Aye. We have just finished escorting him to this city for business, and we were curious if perhaps you might need men-at-arms to guide you back to your housing.
Well, now that sounds strange. Landaman never hires guards.
Well, we did also save his bacon.
You saved his bacon.
Aye.
And his
Beset by
trinkets.
goblins he was.
Oh. Well, I am traveling to Mir in 2 days.
Well, we are assure you we would be happy to accompany you and lend our defensive talents, if you would have us, of course, good Percy.
Well, what proof do you have?
Well, our mutual friend is currently in the stables with his daughter, and he can fill you in on anything that occurred last few days.
Landerman's in the stables?
Yes, he's just over there, sir. And do we have the shield with us?
Yeah, Yuri does have it in his inventory. I was actually thinking about using it. Since it's only
Honestly,
worth 10 gold.
if you can make use of it, you might as well. You could show that as a something that we've earned through
exactly.
battle.
Yeah, but so we'll say that I imagine that Yuri would have brought it in with him, so it's probably like with Yuri leaning up on the bar, but Yuri's still over with the dwarf. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but just a quick aside while he's talking to the dwarf in Dwarven, he asks he says they don't appear to indenture your kind here. Is that the case?
He
points
says,
to his neck.
"Oh, this is mostly a human city. Dwarves don't take residence here as far as I know, nor did the halflings of Mir, nor did the elves of the woods or other kingdoms, or of Alfheim."
It's still in Dwarven. It is a strange custom. I just wonder how one becomes so indentured. But anyway, that's what they're talking about when you point over to the shield that he got. What's the shield look like anyway? I know it's old.
Yeah, it's got a coat of arms on it. Let me see if I can find.
I don't need like ultra detail, but like what type of what's the code? Is it?
I know. Let me.
What's a goblet or a kobold with a spear?
It shows a kind of smoky, winding dragon symbol. Like if you ever see, I think D&D used to have a symbol like this as their brand symbol. I'll actually scribble it like real quick here. Just it's sort of like
so
blue,
like the
that.
dragon kind of curled around the orb.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah, they
like
had that in the 90s.
and then it sort of looks like flame coming up from something instead. So like the dragon's tail terminates, and then you still have like these figures below it, and so it's like that.
Well, anyhow, Yuri's got that shield, leaned up against the bar over where he's talking to the dwarf that you can point to.
He says, "Where did you find that shield?"
We won that battling against the goblin forces. So you have proof of our victory.
I believe you now.
Aye. We would not lie about our skills, not for the opponents of your safety, good Percy.
Wait, he's not. You're with Percy. Yuri's with the dwarf. So I'm over doing
shoot,
the dwarf.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
I'll just,
No, that's okay.
The dwarf was asking Yuri that.
Yeah. So, sorry. First of all, Yuri, you were displaying the shield. He asked you where'd you get it, and then you answered, and that's okay. Like that you got it. In
They're all together. That's fine.
Yeah. Anyways, let's see. He says, "Yes, it is a strange custom what they have here, but I find many strange lands I travel through and sell my wares. That if you mostly abide by their customs, humans really, they're not right. They're not proper. That's what's wrong, if you ask me. It's really a human problem. But anyways, if you abide by their customs, they're mostly tame. And, yes, they take their men. All of the men do all of the menial work here. They do all of the labor. And they cannot be allowed outside without an escort. which holds them by chain like an animal, like a beast.
Is this true in all the cities here, or just this one?
Well, the Baroness's laws extend all through the lands of Gulluvia, but less so in some places than others.
Ah, and this is all in Dwarvish, by the way, for anyone who does or doesn't speak it. But then, because I imagine everyone's kind of together at the bar here, so then Yuri also turns to Percy and switches to common and says, I happen to be a priest of Ord, and as useful as caravans find it to have a priest along, we actually have 2.
Excuse me. And Percy gets up and heads to the stables. He's going to wake up his friend. Meanwhile, I'm going to toss the ball over here to Daniel. What's Daniel doing?
Daniel was mostly listening in on what the dwarf had to say. Unfortunately, it was in Dwarvish.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just, I guess, check out what the rooms are like, what the accommodations are.
Yeah, so they're on a second floor. You take some stairs up, and they kind of line the top and the loft, and they sort of ring in a pavilion way, or not pavilion, atrium way, all around the top floor. And and then, you know, just glancing, you could see some that are open, and they are very nice. You know, for a traveler's inn, this is a well-established, appointed, and fairly wealthy one. This is a city, you know, so for a gold piece, you get a very nice, pretty nice deal.
All right. Yeah, I'll just put my crap up there, and then I'll head back down and have a beer.
All right. Yeah, they have plain ale as well. And let me see, actually, does anybody have any negative effects currently?
Just 2
That I'm
damage.
aware of.
Okay.
Don't think so, no.
All right. All right. So let's see here. I'm gonna pan the camera over to. Let's see. We got Daniel, Druga. What's Druga doing?
I suppose Druga's just eating his meal and kind of giving a close eye to everyone around here. If someone seems open to talking with him, he'll try to kind of hear what the current goings on of the area is. You know, look for rumors, not much more.
Okay. Yeah. Who do you speak to? You got the elf. You've got the servants, and then the bartender, I suppose.
The bartenders and the servants, I guess, because if they're open to talk, it does kind of seem like a lot of the people here might not be too receptive to outsiders, but Druga will try.
Okay. Yeah. The bartender is very easygoing and talkative. She has people come and go all the time. You talk to her for a while and gain a sense of the place, and she reinforces what I've said basically to others as far as how the laws work. She also tells you that the, let's see, kind of some more details about how it works here. She says that men have to cover themselves outdoors, and they actually can be out by themselves in the streets. They always have to wear their collar, but anytime after sundown, they have to be accompanied by a woman at least 16 years of age, and leashed, anytime they're outside.
Sundown is when that comes into effect.
Yeah, sorry about that. And then that here women have absolute authority. So if anytime, especially any of the elite guard, the inner guard, which you'll clearly know when you see, based on both their dress and what they carry, and the muscular elite men that they train, and from childhood here to grow up to be their elite, the men guard that they like kind of train like from a young age, and hand select that surround them, and the punishment to not obeying a woman here is very severe. It's actually torment. That's the first thing that happens, and then death. Like if you, or banishment. They just throw you out. Let's see here. And then you're just kind of like chatting with her, and she says, without you bringing it up, she says, there's a story of a place here far in the mountains, far to the north. It's kind of one of our tales of this place. It used to be that long ago, the lands of Gulluvia were ruled by a princess, and they say that she had a palace of perfect marble halls, made by the dwarves. In fact, I see you have some... Oh wait, no, you're a dwarf, yeah. Made by dwarves, it said. In fact, it said that the dwarves were especially friends with the princess, and they even carved the most flawless and large ruby gem that has ever been known. That's the story.
Druga listens along and kind of chuckles at it, acting as though it's the first time he's ever heard it. He's sort of like, gosh, with a legend like that, you'd think there would be a lot of travelers, a lot of adventuring types coming through here, but I don't think I've seen anybody that really fits that description in our time here. Do you see them very often?
Oh no, not at all. In fact, only sellswords and guards, but they're somewhat rare. The guards, the army of our Baroness is, they often go and do their own patrols, and they're not very fond of mercenaries. The Baroness keeps a rather strict rule here. We value our laws. And so the roads are well patrolled until you get further to the south near the Abaddon Woods. Really, until you get further into the woods or the mists or the mountains, the armies of the Baroness rule, and so they're not very fond of mercenaries being about. Not that there would be any need of them, I don't think. Not until you leave the valley.
Do the laws, if we run into one of those patrols, do the same laws of the city apply to us out in the countryside? Are we going to get shaken down if we get caught out at night there?
Technically, the laws apply everywhere, but if you're on the road, then and you're an outsider and they believe you, then you don't have to have a license to operate on the roads here. There are merchants and travelers that come and go to different cities.
Druga nods his head, and he kind of turns the discussion a different direction. When he's back with his companions later, he kind of mentions to everybody that we're probably... There's a really good chance that we're probably like the only real adventuring group in this area. It doesn't sound like there's much room for other people, and it sounds like even trying to do small jobs as outsiders could really land you in some trouble or issues. Could even imagine like being taxed a whole bunch if you come back to town with like treasures that you found if you did make it to the palace or something. I'm just kind of imagining things like that.
All the more reason to conduct our business in the boonies and stay away from high society then, as if we needed further reason.
Oh, it's good thinking. We could just stay away from this city unless we really need to be here.
Aye. Now here's what I've got to tell you, lads. I assume that Percy has gone to wake up his bud and logged
That's
in
right.
and see if all of what we said just checked out.
That's right.
Now I said we'd probably go to the horse town because the halfling one is a bit far away. Percy is most likely is willing to take us as bodyguards to the halfling town, which is farther away. However, we'll have far less scrutiny to deal with. We'll slowly ingratiate ourselves to the locals. We'll have wonderful food, so I'd say that it's worth going there.
I agree.
Alright.
All right.
The innkeeper here, she may know some stories about from travelers, stories about the whooping that we heard in the mist. If anyone's come through here and complained about that, maybe to the guards, and she picked it up. I'd like to ask her if any travelers have, been beset by whooping beastmen or been chased by them south of the river.
She looks off in the distance for a moment, holds her eye, and she says, "Oh, there's terrible things in the Abaddon Woods, they say. Really, any time you go far enough out of our valley and outside the protection of the Baroness's armies, the Abaddon Woods is said to be full of all sorts of horrible creatures. The Thunder Mountains to the south, full of foul sorcery. The same is said of the misty swamp that lays just to the north of the Mere. And then the more foul mountains far to the north. Far you go into the wilds here, there are tales of travelers that have come through that have seen horrible and strange things. In fact, this may just be a tall tale, but I have heard that in the misty swamps that are just north of the Shire of Mere, I heard a tale from a traveler. So not the traveler, but the traveler heard a tale from someone who had heard from someone. So perhaps tall tales grow tall, but they say that in those woods, in the mists and swamps, there are strange beings with, instead of 2 arms and 2 legs, either 3 heads and 3 arms, or sometimes 3 legs and 3 heads. Strange tale. They also say that livestock goes missing sometimes in the foothills south of the mountains that act as a barrier between the swamps to the north and the Mere.
Spooky. Okay.
Has Percy returned yet?
Yeah, Percy comes back and he's like, "Well, I talked to him, and it's true. Listen, I have much writing to do tonight, but I trust Landman, and if he says that you're good and reliable, and he says the roads are not safe this time of year, and there are strange things about, and the swamp is laying heavy in the valley, I will pay you. But
Thank you.
I will not negotiate it. Take it or leave it. 5 gold pieces.
Deal.
Per person per day. Understood.
Nope. Total. He walks off with his stuff.
Well, it's not exactly going to be great, but we'll at least be looting like kings when we get to the place.
Well, if he keeps up this attitude, we could be looting right now.
Well, let's see how the journey goes, and if he's that obnoxious, then we can easily dispose of him. But we won't be going to Code Red right away.
All right. Does anybody else want to try to do anything in the tavern of the nasty dragon? And also, if is that so? Let me Routnick, let me brief back the plan as I understand it for the group. So, in the morning, you're going to accompany who has. Oh wait, no, he's going to leave in 2 days. Actually, I forgot. So I forgot about that part. You do have a what do you call it? A stock market here tomorrow, or yeah, tomorrow.
Ah.
If you ask around, you'll find out though that uh-oh. Let's see what happened to Dave.
He said he's swapping to his PC.
Oh, great.
Ah, splendid.
So if you ask around just a little bit, or even just the bartender, they'll tell you that the cost of horses is very high here. We're talking like 1,500 gold for like a horse. Like it's a big deal to get a horse here. The cost of a mule, I don't know. I'd have to look, but I think it would be higher, but maybe it would be affordable. Let me take a quick glance here. You know, and then it's a stock market, so like we'll do like a auction game. Let's see, gear. Well, that's interesting. I just assumed it would be in there, but they don't actually have vehicles. So I would just make it more expensive than an OSE one. This game is very stingy with money. It's hard to get money, and it's more impactful to spend money, and you can do more things with money. So getting money is a big deal. Let's see.
I have a question about the laws of going out into the town. Did she say for outsiders to go into the town they had to have a merchant license, or they shouldn't have a merchant license?
You don't have to, but you have to abide by all their local laws, and you're subject to them if you don't have a license. If you have a license, they'll give you kind of like a waiver, or be like, oh, it's an outsider and they're here for business, you know. Let's see. It has a mule. I'm going to say 400 gold pieces for a mule.
Yikes. Is my mic working? I switched to my PC.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to afford that. Maybe we're just better off dealing with the halfling for now.
Or maybe best off making our way to the palace. You know, dungeon is where the treasure is, and at the very least, if we encounter things along the way, they may have treasure too.
Mm-hmm.
But it does definitely sound like our fortune is not to be made here in the town, at least with the current people we have contact with. Maybe in the future when we have a merchant's license and a lot more time to go around here. That's my take on things, though.
I think eventually we should be getting a merchant's license, because I have a great idea for a radical new real estate opportunity.
Okay, so kind of two ideas on the table. One is to just head towards the palace. The other one is to escort the halfling for 5 gold each to the Shire of Mir.
I vote halfling, not just because I talked him up, but also because it's guaranteed a bit more gold. And we will be away from a lot of the harder laws of Lady Demis as we go back and forth.
So Yuri posits this, and I don't know if we know this, but how far is the Shire from where we believe the palace to be? And is there somewhere closer?
If I recall from my notes, the difficulty with the Shire is that if we travel to the palace from there, not only is it a roundabout way, but I believe we'll run into the strange mist that was described.
My assumption is that Percy knows either a way of getting through the mist or the way around, but that is an assumption.
One of the things I didn't recognize with this module that I'm like, and I'm loving it now. I'm here for it, but it's wild. Because Percy will tell you when you get back. He'll be like, "That's a strange question, but if you're thinking about the fabled palace of the Silver Princess, it's said to be in the Moorfowl Mountains. That's about 100 miles from here, overland. You'd either need to go through the misty swamps or in the foothills of the Moorfowls. And if you ask where Thorold is in relation to it, it's about 45 miles away.
How many miles is it from here to Mir?
From here to Mir, it is. He tells you that it's probably going to be with you all on foot. It's probably going to be 2, 4, 6. Probably going to be a week and a half journey.
So it sounds like the other place is the better option.
One thing that's true, I'm not trying to hide this, because I think a couple of NPCs have mentioned it. Mir is a place where you can operate with less scrutiny. Basically, yes. Thorold is like the kin of Lady Demis run the place.
Yeah, that is another reason I'm thinking about just dealing with longer travel time. There is one other thing we could do, which is we could get a lot of firewood, a lot of supplies, and just camp in a safe place near the palace. Like, live off the land.
That's interesting, yeah, because I do know that when they re-released the module, it was intended to basically just start at the dungeon and go through as a tournament type thing. Yeah. But
which is a bummer because you miss out on so much good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so Gulluvia is not even in this, and when they re-released this not even in it. But 45 miles is a long way. Let me think about that. You know, one possibility is that you find a way to get horses other than buying them. I don't know. And you're going to a horse town. I don't know how that works. I don't have a plan for it, but it does seem like if you could get horses, that would be something.
So if I'm not mistaken, Thorold has the same sort of laws and restrictions that Gulluvia has.
They've told you that they're more lax the further away you go. So maybe, but technically it does. So probably the culture is somewhat similar, but it's not freaking, what do you call those outfits that cover someone?
The completely. Leashes might only come out after 10 p.m.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of going to the Shire and then seeing what's up, making a little bit of money, and then if it isn't deemed dangerous by locals, we could take just sort of the beeline through the wild to Thorold from Mir.
Another possibility.
Okay.
Maybe there's roads that connect. I don't know,
I mean, he'll tell you that. He's like, yeah, there's an old trail along the foothills, but you have to travel through the foothills of the Moorfowls to get to Thorold from Mir. So we got 2 votes for Mir and 1 vote for Thorold. What do you think, Trevor and Yuri?
As much as I appreciate the discretion of the Shire, I'm a little bit lazy and don't like to talk too much. And I reckon, sorry, that was illegal.
Hardly.
We probably have to do a lot of back and forth. And I need to emphasize the lazy.
It's an interesting consideration that 100 coins is 1 gear slot, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm a logistics guy, so from where Yuri is relaxing in the inn right now, or in the tavern right now, How many miles away do we reckon where we believe the palace to be is?
Percy will tell you. He if you bring it up, he says it's a strange question. That the palace is fabled to be in the Moorfowl Mountains, and so from Thorold, it's about 45 miles, or that would be. Let me make sure. Let me see here. Hold on. I might be wrong. No, it's about 45 miles. So that's
Because we could probably walk there in like 2 days if it's 45 miles.
It's a few days, yeah. It's a few days back and forth from there. 45 divided by 6. And then that will actually be worse in the mountains. So you're looking at 8 days versus if you went from Mir.
The idea of having a camp isn't sounding too bad.
Times 15. It's 105 miles. So it would take, including going through the mountains, it's about a 20-day journey.
Oh, yeah.
Either via the foothills and traveling the mountains themselves, or going through the misty swamp.
Yeah, so my vote is kind of still for Mir, but definitely not as the home base.
Like kind of a roundabout on the way. Like you're going. And
Yeah,
then
we're gonna go there to ingratiate ourselves a bit, but we're not gonna stay there as a base of operations. That's my train of thought.
Okay. Okay. All right. So it sounds like we're gonna escort Percy. So that's gonna take 2 days. What do you do in the 2 days in Gulluvia? And let me in the camera back here.
So long as we cover up, we can actually go check out that library.
Yeah, we can also see if we could fish for information as long as we keep a low profile.
Yeah.
So I think perhaps if Yuri and I go to the libraries, we could find some lore potentially.
A law that comes in our favor.
Oh, I meant lore.
Lore. Never mind.
Lore. L-O-R-E. Law. He does that for a little bit, trying to figure out how to say the word. Eventually, he gives up.
All right.
Information.
Yeah, so you find some places to burqa. That's what I'm trying to say. You find a covering and put it on gladly, and just like try to keep a low profile and head to the what's it called, the Ephon Heights, the Artisan Quarter. With yeah, is that what you guys want to do? I'll say that you can visit like 3 districts in your days here, you know, if you want.
I don't know that Yuri would really risk it, honestly.
Yeah, did Percy say he was going to feed us, or are we going and getting some food?
No, he did not. It's also on you to have, you know, food and stuff.
Okay. And, sorry, remind me, how many days did he say it would take to get to Mir? 7?
2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Let me see here. He thinks it's going to take about 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
We might not be able to afford the trek.
Well, I've got a gold and a couple of silver, so I'd be more than happy to chip in.
I've got enough gold for, actually, how much was the ration again?
Okay, so there are 5 silver pieces, so if we're...
For 3 days. And then take 1 slot, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
so long as we're... And I guess if we've got... If going immediately into my character's voice, if we have space on his caravan that we can use, I don't think we would have to worry about too many slots on our own.
He just has a pony.
Uh,
Oh,
I see.
This is
I see
sounding less
what.
appealing.
Yeah, I see. I see what someone mentioned earlier. Where if we go there, it'd be pretty expensive for us just to come back because we'll have to pay for rations to come
Yeah.
back unless we find
I
another
didn't think
caravan
about
back.
that.
Hmm.
Tanner, what do you think? Because you were the main driver for going to Mir.
Understanding that I could be flubbing all of this, I say that we bite the bullet, purchase some rations, head on there, and then plan a very extended camping trip to camp outside or near the palace, and just raid that nice and slow.
Okay.
I do want to go over real quick, in case anybody's not looked at it, the resting mechanic, because it's quite different than the OSR. So you can go without food for a long time in this game, but it has some pretty. The benefits of rest are very generous. Essentially, if you manage a rest, you get all your hit points and all your spells. And by the way, you have all your hit points back. Routnick, you know. And but anyways, if you can't rest, you don't get either of those, or you might not. So if your rest is interrupted for some reason, you have to make a DC 12 Constitution check. If you fail it, you don't get the rest, and you don't get your spell or your hit points back. So what happens is encounters in this game are way more frequent than in BX, but they're also less lethal. So there's like it'll happen a lot, and as you go into a more dangerous place, they'll happen more and more, and they'll be more and more dangerous. And the other thing to know is you might need the benefit of a campfire. I'm trying to find it here, but basically what it is if you don't eat, you can go it's like 2 weeks or something without eating, and then you just die like that.
Okay.
If you go several days without fresh water and but there's no water skin in the equipment, so like you have to be like in a desert or something, you know. But
Okay.
if you go without water, you die within like 3 days. I don't know where I read that, but I did. Yeah. I'll look it up later. Anyways. So you can go some time without food, but you don't gain the benefits of a rest. That's the thing.
Right.
And that might be my house rule, but I'm going to rule that. If you don't have food, you can't gain the benefits of a rest.
That sounds good. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys are still game, then I'll go buy some food.
Same.
Okay, so who...
all
So
right.
you can buy any mundane non-weapon items here, and non-ammo and non-armor and stuff. If you have money for for the stock market, they are selling mules and horses, but they're very expensive here. And then who wants to go to the artisans' quarters district?
Quick
Is that where
reminder.
the library is?
Yeah. So basically, actually, let me rephrase that. Who is not going?
I just want to know how much rations are again.
5 silver pieces for 3.
All right, I
Yeah.
will purchase. I will purchase that. 5 silver pieces for free.
I think Yuri would avoid leaving the merchants district at the potential risk of involuntary servitude.
Okay, no problem. I'll pan back to...
Same.
Okay, no problem. All right, so I got, let's see. I got Trevor and Druga Routnick going to the Aphon Heights. So, let's see. I already did the check for the first district that you left. Does everybody purchase like a burqa?
Yeah, what's the price of that?
And a choker? I'll say it's 2 copper.
Okay.
Okay, and then once you enter the Artisans District, nothing happens there, no big deal. Okay, so this is a fairly nice part of town. You can see the main road, the Baron's Highway, that continues on to the northwest out of town, and the second main gate on the opposite end, where merchant traffic comes and goes. And you see that there are kind of three strange or three significant things that you see when you enter this area. One is that there's a stocks and pillory, which is serving the corporal punishment of several men, is serving right now as open and public entertainment for people in this district. The other one is a shop with a sign hanging from it that shows like a potion, and for those that can read, it says Marvolo's Fine Ointments. And then the other thing that you see here, there are different guild halls of various types of mundane trades, not open to the public. You know, they're just like not customer facing, if you will. But then there is a scriptorum. You see that the men in robes that come and go from this place still have collars on their necks.
When you guys screw up and get locked in a pillory, you're gonna have to pay some lady to come to this district and get us so we can free you. But anyway.
And this is the place we're trying to get to? Was the scriptorium?
Yeah, it's if you're looking for a library and such, that's this would be it.
Perfect. Yeah, head that direction.
All right. The halls are open. You get the sense as you enter this place. It has old marble pillars, thinly but evenly spaced along a marble hall. That this was once a grander place, and more in use than it is now. But there are some men that are coming and going in robes. They sort of ignore you, busy about their duties. You get the feeling like, you know, this is a place where people are at work. It's not a shop or anything.
I'm gonna look around for somebody who's looks kind of like a librarian, or can give some information on what we're looking for.
Sure. One of the robed men certainly looks like your typical nerd. He's an old man. He's got white hair, a bald patch on top, and he's like, "Can I help you?"
Yes, excuse me, sirs. I hate to bother you, as I hate to be bothered myself. But hopefully you can give me some information so I can get myself in a position where I'd hate to be bothered.
I hate being bothered too.
It bothers me.
Yes, I feel the same. He gets excited finding a kindred person that hates to be bothered.
Alright, Trevor kind of frowns but nods knowingly. I'm looking for some information on local legends.
Local legends?
Well, I suppose not two locals. The, was it Mythic Mountains? This place is supposed to be a tower, palace, made of silver. Very interesting to me, and I'd like to see if I can find some information about it.
Roll a 2d6 and add your charisma modifier.
Me.
Nice. He looks at you and he's like, I hate being bothered so much. It's good to meet someone who also hates being bothered. It's so bothersome. And he gets kind of upset about it, you know, after commiserating with you about how people just interrupt what he's doing and bother him. And he loses track of the idea that you're bothering him right now because he's getting so mad at it.
I totally understand some facts, so I can't be bothered with it.
No. Well, it's so good to meet somebody who understands. My name is Scribe Mateo. I can show you all sorts of things. He walks off, you know, expecting you to follow him.
Definitely follow.
And goes into a room, and he's like, there was an entire epoch of our literature that was just dedicated to the Palace of the Silver Princess. It becomes so pedestrian after a while, but here are all sorts of books. It'd be like asking someone, you know, in a English library for books on King Arthur or something, you know, like this is probably their cultural epic, you know. And so you see all sorts of books open and art. You have access to all sorts of things. I'll say that you can ask 3 simple questions, and I must answer truthfully simple answers and simple questions.
Can I find a rough location within the mountains so that I would know, okay, you know, the legends say it's closer to
Yep.
this place?
Yes, you can, and I'll show you. You see, now, much like your player-facing map, this is, or like maps in general, you know, like, or at least the reputation of maps in the medieval world, this is not accurate. But it does serve what you're describing, which is to say, just relative at all, right? Like, where is it? So here it is. Boop, 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 boop. Those are the Moorfowl Mountains. This is the river. And you're down here. And and actually, here's Thorald. And here's Mir. And the palace is here.
Awesome. Look at that palace. Okay. Next thing. Is there anything important that we need to know about finding it? Like, oh, there's this kind of riddle to be solved, or oh, we need to find this key, this map, or.
You don't find anything. It remains mysterious. However, I would say you have access from this to the story I read in the beginning. I'm not going to reread it, but I'm going to scan over it for details to see if that's there. And I think it is. Scanning over here real quick. And then I want to toss the ball. I'm going to say 2 more questions because you got 2 people that came with you. So, you know, if you search through here as well, Daniel and who else came?
Oh, I didn't come.
Oh, sorry, no, Druga and Routnick, right? Druga and Routnick. If you guys are searching through the books as well that you've been brought back here, you can also ask simple, direct, like questions that I must answer honestly. Let me see here. There's one thing in the tell that says that you find 2 things. That it says that the palace is in ruins, and that half the palace was destroyed. In another story you read, the princess, the lady of this place, her name was Argenta, Princess Argenta. and it said that some wizard accidentally destroyed half the palace at some point when it was abandoned.
You know, if we can ask a direct question, I'm gonna go through the records, and the question I want to ask is whether I can find any information that points to some sort of secret entrance.
Ooh. Interesting, yeah. There are some ancient tales that kind of hint at how the palace is actually built. And it might be like this, that in the story, there's the story of the banquet when she invited the elves and the dwarves together. And you can infer from the story that the elves and dwarves were met at the portcullis of the gates of the palace, right? And so you can kind of guess that really you don't identify any. Let me make sure I'm not crazy. So kind of like what you don't find tells you something, and then there's something else. First of all, you see no mention of any other entrance except just through the main entrance of this place. That is sort of part of its fortification, as a feature of its defenses, is like a classic, you cross the big open chasm on the drawbridge and enter into the through the portcullis gate of this, So I don't know if that makes sense, but no, that's the only way in or out as far as you know. And then the second thing that you find is that the entrance has it mentions these mighty portcullises, that it's a main defensive feature. So if they're down, it may be difficult to get through them without some sort of trickery or some kind of tool or something.
Okay.
All right, what about Daniel? All right, why do I keep saying Daniel? Routnick. Sorry.
Well, he's gonna go through the text as much as he can. And how many questions do we get?
You get one more.
Okay. We know that there's only one way in or out. We know a little bit of what to expect there. Should I look for what kind of creatures may be lurking about the area, or should I look for edible plants, game, caves nearby, kind of how one could survive in the surrounding areas of the palace?
That's not a bad idea.
Because that is going to save us so much here, there.
True.
And that way we can also stockpile our treasure behind like a big rock or something, and, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. In that case, I will have that be my question. How would one survive off the land, clean water, game, edible plants to stave off diarrhea, shelter, etc., around the surrounding areas of the palace?
Let me look. I think, I don't mean to sound pedantic, but, so there's kind of like two questions there. The wilderness thing is what you would already know about the wilderness. So you don't per se get a question, but, so this is kind of out of character meta here. I don't have any rules that I can see. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me double check here. And I'm intending to use the rules as written. Looking here, just making sure. Here it is. PCs can go 3 days without water and 3 weeks without food. After that, you take D8 damage per day. So it's pretty generous for not having food. There's no wilderness survival in this game. So you're just there, and you make camp, and if there's a condition that like an environmental hazard, then you have to overcome that. Like, so if it's like blowing snow at a mountaintop, then you need a fire. Apart from that, there's not like rules for hunting game or So that's not really that's not something I intend to employ. There was one other thing you were asking though about the outside. What you expect to see outside of it, and that you might be able to find out in here.
Okay.
Um,
Alright. Let's take a look for some of the nasties and gnarlies that might be around or patrolling the place.
I'm just gonna pick like some of the very worst things. I'm gonna give you like 4 of the worst and weirdest. There are many tales of the more foul mountains because in the convening century since the end of the Silver Princess Argenta, you're not the only ones that had hoped to find the palace and secure what might be in and survive. But there are no tales of anyone going to the palace and surviving and returning. There are tales of people attempting to enter the Moorfowl Mountains, being terrorized by what they find and leaving. It is said that there are terrible beasts that live in the mountains. Massive, powerful, grisly things. I will not describe them in particular detail. The stories don't either. It is also said that there are strange things that come and go, weird beings, sometimes hard to define. Some sound kind of like the stories of having 3 arms or 3 legs and stuff like that. But also some of them say that it's almost as if they were made of light or sound. There are all sorts of really psychedelic and strange stories of things that are said to be in the mountains. There's 2. It is said sometimes that a trickster spirit will appear and bestow a boon upon those who would barely survive a trip into the Moorfowl Mountains and leave. And then lastly, the weather can every so often turn particularly foul and can last for days among the mountains.
Then we're definitely going to need to pick up a tent or some kind of shielding for that when we get to Mirror then.
Now, I'm not going to hide this because I think you can kind of sort this out looking at it. I scribbled here. So looking back at the VTT, okay, like here's these triangles. Let's say that's the Moorfowl Mountains, okay? And then this northwest to southeast thing is the road, and you're here at Gulluvia, right? And I said, well, the Palace of the Silver Princess is right here, and that other town is like 45 miles to the south. That is not, so it's not like you've got town and then bam, you're in the mountains. That's not what happens. You've got, assuming these maps are correct, you've probably got a good 4 days until you even get to the mountains. So,
Right.
There are no tales of how horrid the forests south of the mountains are, but the mountains are particularly harsh. So, there's some information that you gather from the local library. Where else would you all like to go today? And yeah, well, this will be actually the end of the day, and then you could do one district tomorrow if you wanted. And you don't have to either. You could just say we go to the end. It's up to you. Let me clear this drawing.
I think it's safer if we head back.
Yeah, let's head back. And
Alright.
honestly, I can't think of anything else that, with our current limited means, that I can't think of anything personally that I would have Druga get up to in the following days.
Okay.
Me either.
On our way out, when we're passing Mateo, when I catch his eye, I'll actually walk a little wider around him, give him a wider berth, and kind of give him a nod.
Yeah, by walking farther away, he gives you a nod of appreciation and respect as a fellow curmudgeonly front porch watcher. Lawn. Get off my lawn, person. Okay. Let's see here. So that's going to be 2 more gold if you stay at the inn. And
Sorry, fellas.
why are you sorry?
Well, it's just lightness, right? Like, I insisted on going with the halfling, so we gotta...
no, that's fine. Yeah.
No worries. Gotta pick one
yeah.
thing to do.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Let's see here. So, Moldane. Okay. It is now Moldane. And, a heavy mist still lay about the valley. Persistent, stubbornly, sticking there. The difference is that, I'm sorry, not a mist, a fog. So it's just laying low. So, right, so like it's just around you and laying low in the valley, but you can see up and above it, right, if that makes sense. And let's hit the road with... So for that reason, the visibility remains poor. The good news is, since you're going with someone, they know where they're going. So once again, I will not make navigation checks. That's pretty huge. Let's see here. And you are all on foot, and he is on a pony. Also, if you wanted to buy any rations or torches or any mundane things, you could totally do that before you leave.
I've already done so.
Sounds good. So, because you're walking, you make it about this far for the day. And... 3 hours, so 4 times. Nice. Okay. You go second day of your travels.
Does the fog stay strong on this second day?
It does on the second day. Camp on the second day. And on the third day, in the morning, the mist has burned off by the afternoon. And you see along the road a wilderness to your left as you continue. And things are going well so far. This is day 3. You can calculate all the rations once we arrive there. And with the mist on this day, the weather kind of returns a bit more to normal. You can see around you a lot better. By this point, the Baron's Road has come to an end, and you have only unimproved trail, but a trail leading off into the grasslands to the north. Let me get rid of some of this fog.
We're on day 4?
This is, day 4.
Alright, I've got 2 rations left.
I'm gonna burn 2, 3, so it goes right there. Oh my gosh, never mind.
Are we gonna boogie? That's a lot of D6s.
Okay,
Let's
so
do it.
actually let me just draw this first. There we go. That's pretty handy. All right, so on the 4th day, you're traveling along, and let's see. Routnick, roll a d6, please.
Right away. 5.
Routnick, you notice something off in kind of like like let's imagine you've got like a raise in terrain, and then it kind of drops off a little bit, just suddenly, just like a relief just on the other side, and you hear this horrible ramp, just like, and the ground is shaking. This is actually surprisingly close to you, so you probably came under this thing and you thought it was something else, maybe thunder, like you thought, okay, it's thunder, and it's not. And just on the other side of a berm, you see that there are these two giant grasshopper-like insectoid things, and they're fighting this gigantic shark-like thing. And they don't seem to see you. I'm gonna put you there just so you can see what I'm talking about.
Okay. Our minis look so good. Square bases too. Okay, if those are what I think they are, then I think we should just go around them as they eat each other.
All
Sounds
right,
good to me.
you're gonna try to avoid them.
Hey, look,
Oh,
shots
yeah.
of some good time.
I'm just gonna see if one of them can kill the other fast enough, and if not, then you'll be able to just get out of here. Okay, yeah. So you're like, let's go. Just get back on the trail and keep going.
Yeah,
Walking
The
past the
second-
crazy guy outside of the 7-Eleven.
yeah. The second that big shark thing takes one look at that pony, we are done. So we're getting right out of Dodge.
All right. Several hours pass on the road. The sun feels like it's almost like as you head toward Mirror, it's just nicer almost. And the sun beams down and it's burning off the fog and the mist, and you can kind of see again. And so you can see where there's there is where you are now, a trail that you can see heading off to your left. You can see that off in the distance. It's an intersection. And then this one continuing on ahead of you. And anyways, roll another d6.
That me?
Yeah.
All right. 6.
Okay. Also a 6. As you're traveling along, a large group of people step out in front of you. A great many of them.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to have to make a little hobbit symbol here. Now, you can rearrange these into whatever order of march you want, whatever you think would be advantageous. I assume that you do that in advance. Okay. And all these people just step out from around and surround you.
I've heard of Conan clones, but this is ridiculous.
And to the group caller, which is Routnick. Yes. One of the biggest and gnarliest of these men. All these men are, yeah, they look like Conans, but really they just look like ruffians. These look like rough men. Some of them have clubs. Some of them do have blades. They come out from around the shrubs and around you. And one of them that has this scarred face, and he has more like leather armor, like he's got better equipment and boots, and he's got greasy, long, stringy black hair, and he comes out and he says, "Well, this puts us in a bit of a predicament."
Oh,
Question
contraire,
about,
nasty man. We are in no predicament at all.
Oh no. You and I are in quite the predicament now.
Oh, how so?
A
One
question
sec.
about
I
magic.
think someone's knocking at my door.
Go ahead, Steve. What were you saying?
One sec.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just have a question about magic. How blatantly obvious is casting magic? Because I got a charm person.
Yeah, you'd roll for initiative to see if you can do it before he does stuff and sees it.
Okay.
That would
Alright.
begin combat, And then, like because you don't have surprise, so you can't do that. So it's like 5e. Yeah, like you either have to have surprise or else it's rolling initiative. And if you win the initiative, then you win, and you can just do it.
And then he's my friend.
Yeah, I
So
haven't
here's
looked
what
at Charm Person, so maybe, like if it's like BX. I don't know how the spell works in this game. I haven't looked at it.
Hang on, I can.
While he's checking, if the charm doesn't work, I'm gonna try and see if I can intimidate him. Because I've got a good charisma and I have the surgeon background.
Well, first of all, he tells you, he's like, we weren't exactly expecting to run into anybody here on the roads. After the mist cleared, we were happy to return to the road. We thought we'd have at least a couple of days. But here you are. Some people out on the roads, and I see swords at your side. I'm afraid we can't let you know that we were here, and we can't trust you. So,
Well,
I have a proposition.
say it.
The men, they follow me because of everything we've been through. So, we fight right now, you and I. If you die, you turn around and leave, and you give us that halfling. Whoever is alive, that is. I die. And, well, suppose the same is true. I'll be dead. My men will guard you to wherever you're going.
Raltnik will look him in the eye, not blinking, and take out his long greatsword and say,
You're not getting through me, and you're not getting to the halfling. And I assure you, I studied in certain dwarven citadels. Oh yes, and you would not like me to leave you a splatter of crimson gore, disjointed vertebrae, snapped trachea, esophagus. Do you even know what an esophagus is? No, of course you don't. Jugular, disjointed hybrid bone, most pulsed, I don't even know how to pronounce that, and blood-seared muscles now. Wouldn't ya?
You're trying to intimidate him, yeah. Make a,
Yeah.
You can make a strength or a charisma check, whichever one you prefer.
I'm
probably
imagining.
You gotta beat a 16 though, I'm gonna say it's kinda hard.
Okay, I'm at... And will I get a bonus or advantage because of my surgeon background, so I know what all those are?
No, I think this is so you can make this check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm adding 2 to this result. And... Ooh, luck. Does that add a bonus or a reroll, or...?
If you use your luck token, and then you lose it, but then you get to roll twice and take the highest.
Think I should burn the luck, fellas?
We only have like 5 minutes left.
Alright, in that case I'm gonna burn the luck.
He
Both would have succeeded, but I'm glad I did it.
he looks at your weapon and looks at you, and he's like, I see. Well, maybe this is all just a misunderstanding. Look, I tell you what. How about if we can come to an accord, and I'll give you a word and you give me a word.
What sort of word?
I'll have never seen you before, and you'll never have seen me, and we'll just walk away.
Raltnik will spit on his hand and offer it to him to shake.
You shake his hand, and he's like, come on, boys, let's leave, and they disappear into the bushes.
Well, he seemed like a nice fellow.
And that day passes. This makes it, let's see, that makes it, did I write it down? 4 days, 5 days, the 5th day, I think. 5 days in wilderness. Okay. And that's where we'll end the session for the night.